There's a moment every man has lived through. You're at a dinner table, a party, a coffee shop, and suddenly you catch it. Her eyes on you. Not a quick glance, something else, something that lingers. And in that moment, something happens in your chest. Your brain starts running calculations. Did she just look at me? Was that interest? Should I say something? Is this my chance? What if I'm wrong? You replay the moment. Was it real? Was it nothing? Should I have smiled back? Here's the truth nobody tells you, man. The moment that matters isn't whether she looked at you. It's what happens inside you the second she did. Because right now, in that half second between her glance and your next move, your nervous system is making a choice. A choice that determines whether what comes next builds something real or just becomes another interaction that goes nowhere. And here's what nobody in the game or the playbook has ever explained to you. Most men see a woman's eyes on them and immediately go into performance mode. They straighten up, they try to look cool, they rehearse their opener in their head. They become someone they're not trying to be. And they have no idea, they have absolutely no idea, that the thing that made her look at them in the first place was the exact thing they just buried under all that armor. So here's the paradigm flip nobody talks about. The reason most men fumble moments of female attention isn't that they don't know what to say. It's that they don't know how to stay human in the presence of being seen. And honestly, that changes everything about what you do next. You're not failing at this. You're not doing something wrong. You're just missing the inside of the game entirely. And most men never even realize it. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what her look actually means, what your nervous system is doing in that moment, and precisely what to do next. Not to impress her, but to show up in a way that makes her feel something real. Let's get into it. The mindset reframe. Most men believe that when a woman looks at them, they need to prove something, that the look is a test, that it needs to be earned, that if they say the right words, do the right moves, have the right energy, then she'll stay interested. But that's not what's happening. Not even close. Here's the deeper truth. When a woman looks at you, really looks at you, her nervous system is doing something very specific. It's looking for safety. It's looking for presence. It's scanning for whether you are a person who can hold space for connection without collapsing under the weight of it.
And your nervous system is doing the exact same thing in that moment. You're just not aware of it. Here's what I mean. When her eyes meet yours, your brain sends a quiet alert, potential connection incoming, approach or protect. And depending on what your emotional history has taught you about being seen, depending on whether you've been rejected before, dismissed before, made to feel like your attention wasn't welcome, your nervous system chooses one of two responses. It either opens or it braces. If it opens, you feel calm, interested, present. You can look back without calculating. You can smile without agenda. You can hold her gaze like it's a conversation already happening. If it braces, even slightly, even subtly, she feels it. Before you say a word, before you move, her nervous system reads yours like it's reading a sentence. And what it reads is, this person is either performing or protecting. Either way, they're not fully here. And that's why the moment slips, not because you didn't have a good line, but because you weren't grounded enough in yourself to meet what was actually being offered. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Her looking at you isn't an invitation to impress her. It's an invitation to be seen and to see her back. Most couples never learn this. Most men never learn this. And it's the reason so many connections start and then quietly die before they ever really begin. But once you understand what your nervous system is actually doing in that moment, and once you learn how to stay present when someone is looking at you like you matter, everything changes. Point 1. The look is not about evaluation. It's about invitation. Most men see a woman's look and immediately go into evaluation mode. Is she into me? Is this real? What do I do? They're trying to solve the moment, figure out if she's interested, calculate their next move. But here's what your nervous system is telling you when you catch her gaze. Something in you registered her. Not just her appearance, her. The fact that she exists. The fact that her eyes moved to yours. And in that half second of registration, your body had a response, a tiny spark of recognition. Most people ignore that spark. They dismiss it as nerves. They talk themselves out of it. They decide it's probably nothing and look away. But what if that spark is actually the most important data you're ever going to get about whether this connection is real? Here's the deeper emotional truth. When a woman looks at you, her nervous system is not evaluating whether you're good enough. It's asking a different question, a quieter one. The question is this person actually here? Can they meet me? Will they be present? Or will they disappear into performance the second things get real? And she's not asking this with words, she's asking it with her eyes. Her brain is quietly registering. Does he hold eye contact or does he look away? Does he seem grounded, or does he seem like he's already rehearsing? Does he look like he's with me in this moment, or does he look like he's somewhere else inside his own head? That's what she's reading. So here's the contrast. This is what most men do. A woman looks at him, he sees it, and immediately his chest tightens. He starts preparing a line. He rehearses something charming. He adjusts his posture to look cooler than he actually feels. He steps slightly outside of himself and becomes an audience performing for a camera that doesn't exist. And here's what she feels. He's not here. He's with his own anxiety. He's already trying to be something instead of just being here. Now, contrast that with what actually works. A woman looks at him. He catches it. And instead of bracing or performing, he just stays. He holds her gaze for a beat. Not with a game face, not with a smirk, with something genuine. A small, warm, almost imperceptible shift in his expression, like he's acknowledging her without needing anything from her in return. His nervous system doesn't go into protection mode. It goes into presence mode. He feels the spark, lets it register, and then looks back at her like he's saying, "I see you too." And something in her, something deeper than attraction, deeper than interest, starts to pay attention. Because you just showed her something rare. You showed her a man who can be met without needing to perform. And when that happens, the walls between you start to come down without either of you having to say a word. Point 2, the what do I say trap and why it's the wrong question. Most men in that moment of female attention immediately start rehearsing an opener. What do I say? What's a good line? What will keep her interested? They're treating the look like a problem to solve with words. But here's what nobody explains. The words are almost irrelevant. Almost. Here's the deeper psychological truth behind this. What a woman is actually responding to in those first few seconds isn't your vocabulary. It's your emotional tone. It's the energy underneath whatever you say, or don't say. Her nervous system is reading your state before your brain can construct a sentence. When you're in your head trying to figure out what to say, your body broadcasts a very specific signal. Your energy tightens, your presence becomes thin. You're not fully inhabiting the moment. You're one step removed from it, trying to manage it from the outside. She feels that. And what she feels is, this person isn't grounded. They're nervous. They're already trying to control the outcome. Now here is the part no one talks about. The most connecting thing you can do in that moment has nothing to do with what you say. It's about how you arrive. Because when a woman looks at you, what she really wants to know is, can this person be with me without needing me to reassure them? Can they hold a moment without needing me to make them feel okay about it? Most men can't. They're looking for her to validate that they're attractive enough, interesting enough, worthy enough. And she feels that pressure immediately. It's exhausting. But a man who has done his own inner work differently, a man who can catch a woman's eye and just breathe, just be there, he doesn't need her to confirm anything. He's already okay. And that steadiness is the most attractive thing in the world. So here's the contrast. Most men, a woman looks at them. They feel the panic rise. They open their mouth and say something rehearsed, something safe, something polished, something designed to sound confident, but actually designed to avoid rejection. Hey, so what brings you here? Mechanical, thin. You can hear the performance underneath it. What she hears, he's nervous. He's trying. He doesn't actually feel okay about this moment. Now contrast that with something different. A woman looks at him. He catches it. He holds it for a beat. And then he smiles. A real one, not a practiced one. And he walks over. Not fast, not calculating, just easy. And when he gets close, he says something like, "Hey, I'm gonna be honest. I got a little distracted over there." Something real, something human, something that doesn't sound like it was scripted. What she hears, oh, he's actually here. He's not performing. He's just being a person. That's when your partner stops feeling like a problem to manage and starts feeling like a person to come home to. Metaphorically, in this case, to the energy of the moment you're in together. Point 3, the pause. Why not immediately approaching is sometimes everything. Here's the part no one talks about. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do when a woman looks at you is nothing, immediately. Most men see a look and think, I need to act, I need to approach, I need to make something happen right now or I'll miss it. But her nervous system is often doing something more subtle than a green light. Sometimes her look is curiosity. Sometimes it's politeness. Sometimes it's just recognition. And sometimes it's a question she's asking. Are you the kind of person who can hold space? Or are you the kind who needs me to hold space for you? Most men rush in and never give her the chance to find out.
Here's the deeper emotional truth. A moment of eye contact before any words is actually a form of communication already happening. It's two nervous systems reading each other. And if you rush into it, you interrupt the communication before it can do its real work. What happens when you pause, when you hold her gaze and just let it be a moment before you move? Is that something opens. There's a beat of mutual recognition. Two people just seeing each other. And here's what no one explains. That beat is where the connection actually starts. Not after you say your line, before. Because in that pause, you're showing her something no words can convey. I don't need to rush. I can be with this moment. I'm not desperate. I'm present. And that changes everything. So here's the contrast. Most men, a woman looks at them, immediate adrenaline spike. Now or never. They walk over immediately. Talk immediately. Push the moment forward at the speed of their anxiety. And she feels he's chasing something. He feels urgent. I wonder if this is about me or about him needing me to validate that he's desirable. Now contrast that with something different. A woman looks at him. He catches it. He doesn't immediately move. He holds the look for a second. He lets it breathe. He acknowledges her with a small smile. Nothing more. Just a moment of mutual recognition. Then, after a beat, he moves. Easy, calm, like he's choosing to approach rather than needing to. What she feels. Oh, he can wait. He's not desperate. He can be in a moment without rushing it. That's interesting. And here's what changes everything about that shift. You just demonstrated that you can be present without urgency, that you can be interested without grasping, that you can meet someone without needing them to confirm anything for you. That's the shift that turns a moment that could have been nothing into something real. Point 4. The difference between attention and attachment, and why it matters. Here's the one most couples never figure out. When a woman looks at you, your brain might interpret that as her choosing you, approving of you, validating you. And that interpretation creates a subtle but powerful pull towards something that feels like love, but is actually dependency. You're not looking at her. You're looking at what she makes you feel about yourself. This is the trap. And it's the trap most men never see they're falling into.
Here's the deeper psychological truth. When you meet a woman's gaze and immediately feel more confident, more alive, more like yourself, that's not connection. That's adrenaline. That's your nervous system getting a hit from the moment of being chosen. And the danger is that if you keep chasing that feeling, if you approach her because you need her look to make you feel good about yourself, you're not building connection. You're building attachment to your own self-image. She can feel this, not consciously, but her nervous system reads it immediately. What she's scanning for is this person here for me, or is he here for what I make him feel about himself? Most men can't tell the difference, and so they approach with hunger that has nothing to do with her and everything to do with their own need to feel desirable. Now here's what changes everything. The difference between attention and real connection isn't whether she's interested. It's whether you can meet that interest without needing it to shore up something inside you. Real connection happens when two people are curious about each other, when they want to know each other, not just be validated by each other. So here's the reframe. When she looks at you, don't ask yourself, does she like me? Ask yourself, am I curious about her? Do I actually want to know what's behind those eyes? Or do I just want her to make me feel good about myself? If the answer is curiosity, genuine, spacious, other-focused curiosity, then approach from that place, not from hunger, from interest. And that's when your nervous system stops reading you as someone who needs something and starts reading you as someone who has something to offer. Point 5. The micro-response. How you answer her gaze says everything. Here's the thing about connection. It's not built in the big moments. It's built in the 30-second ones. The moment when someone looks at you and you choose how to respond, not just with your words, but with your whole emotional presence. Most men treat the look as a binary, approach or don't approach. But the real communication happens in everything before and after that decision. Here's the deeper truth. Every woman who looks at you is giving you information about herself. She's telling you something with her eyes, something she may not be able to say with words. And your ability to receive that information, to let it register, to respond to the actual person behind the look rather than just the idea of her, that's what separates connection from interaction. Your nervous system in that moment is like a smoke detector. It cannot tell the difference between her gaze and real intimacy, so it sounds the alarm regardless. It tells you to protect, perform, deflect. But what if you stayed quiet?
What if you let her look without needing to do anything about it? That's when the real stuff happens. So here's the contrast. Most men, a woman looks at them, they feel the spike. They immediately want to do something about it. Approach, smile too big, say something to fill the space, move closer, anything to manage the intensity of the moment. They're responding to their own nervous system, not to her. Now, contrast that with something different. A woman looks at him. He catches it. He doesn't immediately fill the space with action. He lets the moment be what it is. He breathes. He notices what he's feeling, the spark, the interest, maybe the nervousness, and he lets it be there without acting on it immediately. Then, when he does approach, he approaches from a place of presence rather than desperation. What she feels. He's not trying to get anything from me. He's not reacting to his own anxiety. He's actually here. He's actually with me. And when you can show up like that, not needing to fill every moment, not needing to prove anything, just being genuinely present with what's actually happening, that's when two people start to build something that feels like a real relationship. That's what it looks like when someone has learned to meet another person without losing themselves in the process. Point 6. The inner monologue she can't say, and what it means. Here's the question most men never ask. What is actually happening inside her when she looks at you? And I'm not talking about attraction. I'm talking about something deeper, something she probably couldn't put into words if she tried. Here's what no one explains. When a woman looks at a man across the room, her nervous system is running a whole series of calculations simultaneously. It's asking, is he grounded? Is he safe? Does he seem like he's in his own skin? Or does he seem like he's performing? Can he meet me? Or will I have to carry the interaction? And all of this is happening in the space between her looking and him responding. Her brain is quietly registering. He actually saw me. He held the look for a second. He didn't immediately look away like I was a threat or a test. He stayed. He smiled, and it looked real. And something in her chest shifts. Not dramatically, just a small, quiet internal event. What moves through her is, he didn't need me to reassure him. He didn't rush over to prove something. He just stayed. I forgot how good it feels to be with someone who can be still. She probably won't say this.
She might not even fully know it herself. But this is the invisible conversation happening underneath the surface. And here's the part that changes everything. When you understand what her inner experience actually is in that moment, when you start to see that she's not just evaluating you, she's looking for something specific, your whole approach shifts. You're not trying to impress her. You're not trying to perform. You're trying to be the kind of person who can actually meet what she's looking for. And that's when you stop trying to get something from her and start offering something real. Point 7. The one practice that changes everything. Here's the thing nobody tells you about all of this. None of it works if you're not doing your own internal work. Here's the deeper emotional truth. Every time a woman looks at you and you feel yourself brace, perform, or go into protection mode, that's your nervous system telling you something. It's telling you there's an old wound being touched. A part of you that's afraid of being seen, being rejected, being dismissed. And the only way to stop that wound from controlling your behavior is to look at it directly. Not to fix it, not to make it go away, just to see it clearly. Most men run from this. They learn techniques, tactics, lines, approaches. They get better at performing. But underneath all of that, the wound is still there. And every woman who gets close enough can feel it. This isn't about becoming confident enough to approach women. That's just a different form of armor. This is about doing the actual inner work so that you can be present when someone looks at you, really looks at you, and not collapse under the weight of being seen. Here's what happens when you do that work. When a woman looks at you, your nervous system doesn't sound the alarm. It stays open. You can hold her gaze without calculating. You can approach without performing. You can be in the moment without needing it to go a certain way. And that's when your partner stops feeling like they have to manage you and starts feeling like they can just be with you. The close. So here's what I want you to take away from this. When a woman looks at you, it's not a test. It's not a performance opportunity. It's not a moment that proves whether you're good enough or desirable enough or interesting enough. It's a moment of human connection. And the question isn't whether you can impress her. The question is whether you can be present enough to actually meet what she's offering. This isn't a checklist. It's an invitation to show up differently. And that changes everything about what's possible between you and the person you chose.
When you internalize this, you stop reacting to women's attention and start responding to them. And she will feel the difference before you've even said a word. These aren't tips for getting more attention. They're the beginning of becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to perform to feel worthy of it.
And here's the mic drop. The woman who looks at you isn't looking for a man who's figured it all out. She's looking for someone who can be human in the presence of being seen. And that starts with you. Not doing more, but being more. If this resonated with you, if you want to go deeper on the psychology of connection, the nervous system, attachment patterns, and what it actually takes to build real intimacy, hit subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from. And drop a comment below. What's one moment when a woman looked at you and you didn't know what to do with it? I read everyone. I'll see you in the next one.